Hey, welcome to Cooking with Dee. I found an old vintage recipe today. It reminds me of home, so I'm gonna cook it. I don't know that I really have a name for it yet. We'll see when we're done. So the recipe calls for 5 pounds of ground beef. 5 pounds, that's a lot. And because this reminds me of home, I have no problem freezing it in the individual sizes that I'm going to need. So I have my big quart pot here. I'm gonna go ahead and put the 5 pounds of ground beef in and fry it up. Don't think you need to see that. We're only frying until the pink is gone. That is part of the directions. You're only gonna cook it until the meat is no longer pink. All right, here we go. Boom. All right, the hamburger's done. It doesn't say to drain it. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave that in there. And as a matter of fact, it even tells me to add water, but we'll get to that in just a second. In the meantime, I have my sous chef. Hi, Sue.
Hello.
Well, it's Pam. I just call her Sue. She's gonna help me with the ingredients while I just stay stirring. So, all right, let's get to it. What's our first ingredient after the hamburger?
Okay, after the hamburger, we have 2 scant tablespoons of salt, a half tablespoon of black pepper, and a half tablespoon of granulated garlic.
Okay, and so I know you mixed that all up for me. So it's all in here.
To make it easier.
Yeah, just to make it a little easier. There you go. And then I'll go ahead and stir that in. And then what's the next ingredient?
The next ingredient is your El Paso sauce.
You know, and this is the secret ingredient to this recipe. Who would have thought that you could make something so scrumptious with El Paso sauce? Now there's 2 kinds of El Paso sauce, the yellow and the red, and I was told to make sure that I use the yellow. All right, so now we have that in there. Next ingredient?
The next ingredient would be 1 tablespoon of chili powder.
Okay, and we have just a little bit less than that. I don't want it to be too spicy. And actually, I think the ingredient said 1 heaping tablespoon.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, I don't want it to be too hot. And if I figure that it needs a little bit more after adding this, then we will. All right, so what's the next ingredient?
We're gonna put in 4 cans of water.
4 cans, meaning the El Paso size.
Absolutely.
So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now you would think I was making a soup from this, but I am not, because the next instruction says to let this simmer for how long, Pam?
An hour and a half.
An hour and a half. This needs to simmer and meld together. So we're gonna go ahead and throw this on low. And I'm gonna call low 2.5. Remember how we went through that earlier with my stove. I'm gonna let this sit. I'm gonna let it simmer for an hour and a half. And then we're gonna add our final ingredient and we're gonna see how this tastes. Oh, and I think I might be making French fries today because this will go on top of French fries. All right, we'll see you in a bit. So we're about halfway through the simmering process. Has another about 45 minutes to go. And I'm going to go ahead and add my last ingredient, which is 2 tablespoons of flour. And I'm just kind of making a slurry. I took some of the juice out of the pot. And now I'm going to just kind of stir it, get those lumps out. Some of the meat made it into the slurry there. I mean into the juice. All right, that's pretty good. Let's go ahead and add this. Go ahead and add that all. Stir it up. Now what this flour is supposed to do is thicken this mixture up. I'm going to go ahead and let it do that about the last 45 minutes of this simmer. And what we're hoping, now I've never made this recipe. This is something that just came to me. And I love that it came to me. I'm going to go ahead and let this simmer and hope it thickens up with the 2 tablespoons of flour. All right, we'll be back. So my loose meat concoction is about complete. And I'm going to go ahead and fry up some potatoes in the shape of French fries, and then put the loose meat concoction on it, top it with some cheese, and call it a meal. Alright, let's get to chopping these up. So I already peeled the potatoes, and then you can see my orange bowl, my favorite orange bowl. That's going to be there for a good reason. I know my fingers shouldn't be out, but it is what it is today. Now you can see that I'm cutting these up probably about 1/4 of an inch. So yeah, probably 4 of them would be an inch, okay? So I'm just cutting them up lengthwise here. There we go. And then from this position, I'm just going to cut them up into French fry shape. What? Look at those. McDonald's has nothing on me. I'm going to put them in my orange bowl, but I'm going to put water in there as soon as I'm done and let these potatoes soak. Try to get some of the starch out, and I'll let them soak for probably about 20 minutes. Just like you would rice. So the reason we kind of wash rice, other than rice is dirty, is that you want to make sure that you can try to get out as much starch. You want to try to get out as much starch as you can before you cook them, and then it doesn't cloud up the water in rice, and it doesn't take as long to cook when you're frying up the potatoes. All right, let's get to chopping these up. Okay, so now I'm going to fill this with water. There we go. Put some water in it. Put some water in it. Move them around. Make sure they get covered with water too. You don't want the potatoes sticking out. So you can already see the water's clouded. There we go. All right, we're going to let those sit there for a little bit. I've rinsed my potatoes. I've dried them, and now it's time to easily put them ever so gently in my oil, which is on medium heat. Oh, sizzle, sizzle now. Look at that. See, now this takes me back in time because I remember when my mom taught me how to make French fries. We didn't get a McDonald's where I lived until I was 12 years old. Now, for some of you today, you may think, what? But fast food was not a big deal when I was a kid. So when we would go out of town and we were able to go to McDonald's, my mom didn't even know what to order. Like, she had no clue. She would always order, when we went there, a 1/4 pounder with cheese, and I would always get a Happy Meal. And this is back when Happy Meals came with cookies and a toy and the box, and it had puzzles on the box, which I think they might still now, but I'm not certain. But the fact that they had Ronald McDonald cookies that are like animal crackers now, but they had Ronald McDonald shape, Grimace, who was the fry guy? Mayor McCheese. Like, they came in that shape, and that was amazing that you had a little snack after your hamburger or your cheeseburger. We didn't have chicken nuggets back then. Chicken McNuggets didn't come out until 1981, just so you know. So anyway, when my mom would make homemade hamburgers, she'd always make homemade French fries. So she's the one that taught me how to make these. So let's get these fried up. It'll probably take me about 20 minutes and then we'll complete this meal. All right. So here's what my loose meat concoction looks like. I did turn up the heat the last few minutes of it. Looks pretty good to me. This is the consistency that I remember. I'm just waiting for my fries to get done and serve it on up. All right, we're ready to serve up some goodness. My French fries are done. So we're gonna crispy things. Some of them are crispier than others. Put those down. I kind of like them in a little pile. A little bit more. There you go. I'm gonna tell you it's a small plate, but it's not. And then I got my loose meat concoction, which is still really hot. And I got about a 1/4 cup here. I'm just gonna put it all on there. Maybe I want to just dump it. Ooh, that's gonna be amazing. And then on top of that, you know what we do? We put the best ingredient of all. The best ingredient. Some cheese. Don't tell Zoe, she likes cheese. Don't tell the maid, I made a mess. There we go. All right. Thanks for joining me in the kitchen today. Until I circle back around, have a good one. Wow, this is going to be amazing.